Hi, my name is Panache and I'll be doing my final presentation summarizing everything that I've learned in the class. I'll start with introducing myself. My name is Panache Kambe. I was born in Mazo, Zimbabwe, which is like right there under Harare, and I lived in Eswatini, which is like right there on the capital, Mbabane. I'm from a family of five. I have two sisters. I'm the first of three. Um, I was in the Wordback soccer team last year. That's like I joined the Wordback soccer team, and then I work at the Wordback Den and maintenance. For those that might have seen someone do the trash around, that's me. I do the trash and maintenance. I'm a public health and biology major. Um, so I'll just be summarizing from what I got from the Martin Luther King reflection, like from the case studies, class discussions, and like just basically from the book where it talks about like racism, multiculturalism, and just like living in diversity and all that. It starts with Martin Luther King. I read chapter 6 of Martin Luther King, A Knock at Midnight. It talks about the concept of finding hope in the darkest moments, and like like relating it to like how how the world is currently facing a pandemic, which is the coronavirus, and like how we have to find hope in this dark moment, and like kind of like that gives us a sense of direction, and like where to go and what to look forward to, and kind of like how the world has moved from like survival of the fittest rather to survival of the slickest, in the sense that like you have to be able to convince people that like things are about them for them to contribute to you, and hence the famous quote, an enemy of an enemy is a friend, just so that you can include them in like your business, and like also like how persistence pays off in everything that you do, kind of like just like having that focused mindset, and like just like always you know never losing hope. And so for my case studies, it talked about like the concept of heroism, and like who is a hero and who's not. It was about like how this Native American students went to a teacher about like the president of Mount Rushmore, and how they didn't consider them as heroes, and in fact they considered Native American chiefs as their heroes, and kind of like, is that a good concept to teach people about like heroes? Because like everyone is like, most people like have bad sides on them, and kind of like like how now when you're a hero you tend to like kind of justify the bad side of someone. Is it a good concept? Is it a good concept to develop people in into a certain picture, rather than like having them grow in a way that they're growing? And kind of like also like another case study was like teaching like in diversity, a lesson on like cultural celebrations of Thanksgiving, and like where they come from, kind of like is it like is it like, and is it okay to like just kind of like focus on like um Thanksgiving on its own, and not like like make it more diverse, and kind of like find similarities with other cultures, and like bring about like other cultures, and like how they celebrate different celebrations, and like also like a lesson. Another one was on like a lesson on oppression, kind of like just going and talking about like how to include, when talking about topics of oppression, how to include white people in that conversation, how to include white students in that conversation, kind of like like how they would feel like left out in most of the conversation, and like how do you include them, how do you like make them part of the conversation, and like rather than not letting them out of the conversation in a way, because like it's kind of like it becomes like that in society, where like you see certain people just shying away from certain topics because they feel they might say the wrong things, and kind of like having them, kind of like including them in class, and kind of like that just gives them like a bit more like confidence in talking about certain topics, and knowing like what's wrong and what's right. And also like the one that questioned like ethics, the ethics of teachers, and kind of like like Fridays are video days, which where like the teacher would give out like, would make people watch videos on Friday, and like give extracurricular work, extra credit work for those that wanted extra credit work. And it was kind of like focusing on like how that, because like two students didn't take that serious, like two three students didn't take that serious, and kind of like like she had to look at the pros and cons of like showing videos to the class, and kind of like her feeling like it's a good idea, but like, like is it really a good idea when like not everyone is benefiting from it? Kind of like, is an ethical, question that we have to ask. Is it really, is everything that we do in the world a good idea if not everyone is benefiting from it? Is democracy a good idea if not everyone is benefiting from it? Like in the world, you kind of see like, because democracy at the end of the day is dictatorship of the majority over the minority. It's kind of like, are people benefiting from the things that we do? Are we just going with like what the majority thinks? And most of the time, um and then like from class, we talked about diversity issues like gender equality, where um one of my classmates gave an example of, like her being complimented and saying like, for a girl you do this good, for a girl you do this, and kind of like how that takes away the compliment from it, and in terms of like just putting for a girl, and like how to learn to like move forward in a world where you can just compliment a person without putting for a girl or for a guy or for something, or like just being able to do that, and like living with physical and mental disabilities, in a sense that like um acceptance and respecting everyone in every case, and like of every race and like just understanding like where they're coming from, and like being able to like to talk to someone, regardless of their race, their like anything, regardless of anything, and being able to respect their point and like talk back and forth. And then my articles were on like racism, but my articles were like on racism and like how the justice system, like it presents like the critical race theory, which like talks about like how the legal system has undermined, like racial minorities, because the people that wrote the laws had their own agendas in thingy, which really has been detrimental to minorities. Like the effects it has on students in terms of like racial profiling. The New York, you had like stop and frisk to students, how that affects them in terms of like class and learning. Just having to go to class after you've been stopped and frisked by police. Those encounters, and kind of like the relationship with and also focuses on the relationship with black people with the police, and kind of like how that has been and what has caused for it to be like, for them to be like deadly encounters, or like like messy encounters with the police, and like how the media enforces the stereotypes on like the population, kind of like how they present like black crimes longer than they do like white crimes, kind of like just enforces the idea, the availability heuristic, whereby like it's what's being given to us, it's what we see on the crime, and at the end of the day, some black people are actually afraid of this, of like of other black people in a sense, because like this is what they're seeing in the media, this is what is being given to them, and kind of, and like how we have to move forward from that, and like kind of like know Gutsi, like everything, know that like everything that we do like shapes how the world perceives something, and like moving from there. And like another concept was the concept of multiculturalism, with cultural appropriation. Would see like with the whole Thanksgiving thing, the fact that the Native Americans that were settling in, they used to celebrate Thanksgiving, and is it cultural appropriation? And like how how like we have to accept all the culture, cultural diversity, and like and like focus on like on like including everyone, and not it being a melting pot like cultural assimilation, but like kind of like just like cultural diversity, where like people, where like everyone expresses their own culture, like, and like and understanding in that sense. And then from the book, from the free book, like living in diversity, like kind of like from like work, from your occupation, like kind of like how to handle diversity at work, kind of like how to read resumes from like different diverse groups, and like take that away from, like remove that bias that you have towards a certain group, and just being able to read an application for what it is, or like just being able to like to have a conversation with someone at work for what they are, like kind of like the differences that we have in skill, and like not putting that upon, like to be like, also since this person is like this, so then like all like white people are like this, or all black people are this, you know, the differences of skills and abilities in everyone, in like every race, within their races, and like kind of like personality traits, values, and attitude, and like how people have different values, and also like whatever we do at work, at school, I think in any way, it is important to respect other people's values, and like not have like negative attitudes towards what they value, even though they might be different or contrary to what you value. It's always good to like have a conversation with someone and take away, and being able to like respect their standpoint in a sense. That's all for today, folks.